The Metis Tech Show.
Welcome to the Metis Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
I like how you guys bounce back and forth between heat pump talk and food talk.
The Metis Tech Show.
Mitsubishi.
So, Bryn, I was texting you, was it Saturday night? Friday night? It was Friday night.
Friday night, yep.
So we went to this people were raving about this new bowl place up in Leominster. And it's a Korean barbecue type of thing.
Yep.
So you get there, and I took my wife and I took my youngest son. And it was a flat rate. I think it's $30 or $31 per person. And it's all you can eat appetizers. They have an iPad there or a tablet. And you just hit what you want, hit order. My son was going crazy. He's going crab rangoons. He's going rolls. He's going gyoza. He just keep in it. And they got the boba tea, which boba tea was actually pretty good. I asked Mayan for half sugar, and they didn't do that part, but that's okay. And then they have you go up and you get this bowl, and it's like a buffet. You grab a bowl and they got 1,000 things to choose from, and you just fill the bowl. And you got your spices you can sprinkle on it, and you got the sauces that you want. And I went with Mongolian sauce, and my wife had it. My wife got confused, and she put things in there. She didn't like hers because of the stuff she put in it.
Yeah.
So that's her fault. But I got to tell you, people raving about this place. People my wife knows, people I know. They said, run, don't walk to this place. Go check it out. We got there. The place is packed. We were able to get a table right away. Appetizer come out, gyoza, crab rangoons. There were some rolls. The rolls were actually pretty adequate, pretty good. But all the appetizers, to me, tasted like you go to like a Costco or a big box store or Sam's Club, and you get the frozen appetizers.
Yeah.
Right? And you microwave them. Because the gyozas, they were okay.
Yeah.
Right. But they were a little hard on some of the edges.
Yeah.
Over microwaved. And, so it was just, I don't like going out to paying for food that's just okay.
Yeah.
All right. But then the worst part of it is you go up there, I got my bowl. I threw some steak in there. I threw some scallops and some shrimp. I got the noodles I threw in there. I threw some scallions. I threw some jalapenos. I threw some this garlic pepper seasoning on there, and I got the Mongolian sauce, and you leave it there, and you leave a little piece of paper with it, and they bring it to your table. When it's done, mine was probably 75% burned.
Yeah.
Charred.
Oh, wow.
And my son's, Christopher, got his, and it tasted like charcoal. I said,
Wow.
don't eat it.
Yeah.
And they warn you ahead of time. It's a flat rate. You can eat all you want, but if you leave any food behind, we're going to charge you for $8 a pound.
Yep. Yeah, you can't. But they allow you to take it with you.
They allow you to take it with you at $8 a pound.
Interesting.
Wow.
Right? Because they don't want people going in there. I can't blame them for that. But she comes up and I said, yeah, we're not paying for this. Is burned. And she goes, would you like to go it again? I said, no, actually, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I texted you, don't waste your time. Don't waste your money.
It's in the town I live in.
Yeah, and I don't want to mention the name of it, but...
There's a place near the Orlando Training Center that's just like that. I went in it because I love Oriental food.
Yeah.
And I went in and it was flat rate. And there's signs on every table that says no takeout allowed or no leftovers allowed. So that's where my mind went when you said that.
Yeah, there's a place, I think it's Ichiban, near the Orlando Training Center, which is a Korean barbecue. And it's a flat rate, and you order all these meats.
Yes.
And they come out, and then you grill it.
Yep.
They get like an electric, I don't know what to call it, electric wok, I guess, for lack of a better.
Yeah.
And you cook it right there in front of you. Well, first of all, I'm paying to cook my own food.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but it's good, though.
It's
That
good.
stuff is
It's really good.
It's the adventure.
Yeah, but again, I don't want to pay my own.
Yeah.
I don't want to cook my own food, but I'm paying for it, And
Actually, you might get a kick out of this. So, I guess there's this country store that's out in Vermont that is going viral on TikTok for their mac and cheese. And, I grew up, and where I started in HVAC was in the town where the country store was. And so I'm pretty familiar with country stores in general. I'm from, the rural part of Massachusetts. And so my girlfriend told me about it, and she's like, oh, there's this place called Vermont Country Deli, and we got to try it. They have the best mac and cheese and this and that. And I started laughing. And she's like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, I grew up and lived my whole life with country stores in every town. I'm like, a country store has good food, but I can promise you it's not going to blow you away. And she's like, no, they're saying it's awesome. I want to try it. And so, she's from San Diego. So she has no experience with stuff like that. So the funny thing is we ended up having the time to do it on Saturday. So we went up and she got her mac and cheese and got all this stuff. And we're leaving the place and she's like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, yeah, that's what I told you was going to happen. I was like, it is great food. I love, the country stores and being able to build your subs. But she was hyping it up because TikTok got her all worked up about how great the mac and cheese was. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's going to be good, but it's not going to knock your socks off. And that's exactly what it was.
When I was in the van, I used to stop by a country store and they had the pizza. They got the big giant oven and they got the pizza slices in there.
Buy it by the slice.
And there was a pepperoni and it was, I don't know what they did, but it was delicious. I used to look forward to it. Probably some of the best pizza I've ever had as far as flavor. I think the sauce was always the key.
Yeah. There's a gas station in an Irving gas station in Chesterfield, New Hampshire. And it looks just like a regular Irving gas station, but you go in and they have a pizza oven and they have the pizza slices. It's the best pizza in my area, like by far. It's hilarious. You would never expect it. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you're driving up Route 9 in Chesterfield, you have to try it because the pizza's so good.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
All right. Anyway, welcome everybody to the Metis Tech Show. My name is Paul Chaves. With me is Juan Cardona. Juan, say hi.
Hola.
Yeah, haven't been on in a while, have you?
It has been.
Yeah.
I miss it.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Bryn Raptor. Bryn, say hi.
Hello.
Hello. So we are at the HVAC Excellence or ESCO show in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yep.
This is our third year. No, it's our second year in a row with a booth, and it's at least our third or fourth year because you guys are both teaching classes, so we've done that. And I'm actually here because I'm going to be on a panel on Wednesday. I'm going to be on a panel with 7 other manufacturers telling these HVAC school administrators and educators what they're doing well and where they can improve.
Yeah.
So
That should go well.
So I hear some noise behind us now. It was nice and quiet when we started.
Yeah,
But the noise got busy. Did you turn the on-air sign on? Is that on?
Oh, yeah. It's on.
Oh, yeah. So they're totally ignoring it.
There's people with, what are they, the forklift?
That's the
carts
electric.
and
That's
all
the
that
electric
stuff.
forklift.
Yeah, well, it's probably vacuum. They're going to be over here with the vacuum cleaner, like my mother on Saturday mornings when I was a kid. Vacuum cleaner starts 7 o'clock. She doesn't care.
They'll walk right in front of the camera, too, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure they will.
Or they'll stand behind the camera and wave at you or something.
Yeah. So what did we decide we're going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about fan motors. We're going to talk about some of the residential fan motors. We're going to talk commercial fan motors. We're going to talk about normal operation. So I think in previous episodes, we have talked about how to diagnose a fan motor, just the basics. And so I figure we cover all different types of fan motors we have on our equipment, and then also describe what is normal, because they do some weird things. It's not just on or off. They do, behave differently depending on circumstance. So I thought it'd be good to just talk about what normal operation would look like.
Yeah, so what we've had in the past is what we've been telling people is you measure between the pins. It's a 6 or 7 pin connector at the motor.
Residential or outdoor
and we're
use.
looking for a DC voltage. So between 1 and 3, it's 300 volts. Between 4 and 3, it's a 15 volts DC. Between 5 and 3, it's somewhere between 0 and 6.5 or 7 volts DC. And
That's your speed control.
Right, and that's the one that's and then 0 to 15 volts on 6 and 3. And
Bouncing. That's a bouncing signal.
Yeah, and it's going to come out to about 7.5 volts because it's going to bounce so fast. That's what you're going to see in your meter is about 7.5 volts.
Yeah. So it's splitting the difference. So just to lay out those pins, the 1 and 3 is our power. That actually powers the fan motor.
Yep.
4 and 3 would be a constant 15 volts DC, and that's rotational feedback in. So something has to feed the feedback circuit. So that's powering the feedback circuit. Yep.
Yeah, that's from the circuit board into the motor.
Correct.
And 1 and 3, again, 300 volts DC, roughly.
Right. 5 and 3 is the speed control. So 0 to 6.5. If you're low speed, you might see 1.5 volts. If you're high speed, you might see 5.5. I always tell people I don't recommend this, but if you were to grab onto the fan motor while it was running, you would actually see the voltage increase because it's trying to overcome that restriction. And then pins 6 and 3 would be 0 or 15, and that's the rotational feedback out. If you were to let the fan run at full speed and check on 6 and 3, then you would have that 7.5 you were talking about. It's splitting the difference between 0 and 15.
I remember being a tech in the field, and I was following the manual because I was one of those guys that used to actually RTFM.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was reading the manual, and it had, I got the meter on those pins in there, and it actually had me with the power on but not calling. It had me turn the
fan
wheel
blade.
slowly, the fan slowly, and you could see it.
Yes.
That's
That's where you'll actually see that 0-15
Yeah.
reference voltage.
Right.
Now, we talked about those pins 1, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, and 6, 3. That is one of the configurations. You might also see it 1, 4, 6, 4, or 5, 4, 6, 4, and 7 and 4. It doesn't really matter. It's just a 1 or a 2 pin gap. The actual order that we pin out those fan motors is exactly the same.
Right.
So-
So that's mainly the difference between a 6-pin and a 7-pin connector.
Yeah, it's just that gap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And the reason we leave the gap is because we've got 300 volts DC on either
Arcing.
side. So we're just trying to give you some space so that you can test that without the potential for arcing. So yeah, you might see a motor that has 7 pins. It doesn't, if you remember the order, it doesn't matter. You find the gap, that's your power in common, and then just go in order. Power in, feedback in, speed control, feedback out.
Yeah. And just a side note here, one thing that's important is you are using those needle leads.
Oh yeah.
You can't do this without regular leads.
Absolutely.
Without the needle leads, you're not doing this. Don't use a paper clip. You go get your meter leads, or your needle leads, whatever they call it, hypodermic leads. They're real tiny.
Yeah.
They fit in there perfectly. You stick one lead and the common pin. That one's never going to move. It's either going to be 3 or 4. That's the common pin. And the other lead, the other meter lead, is just going to go each other one.
Right. Yeah. You honestly, if you have the regular meter leads, they won't even fit.
No.
You won't even be able to test it.
I've seen technicians try to force them in and break the connector. Now they're buying a new harness or a new board.
Yeah.
because
Or a
you
pin
just
falls
created,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
you just created a loose connection.
Yep.
I remember it being, again, another war story. You said I was going to tell war stories. But I remember being a young tech in the field and trying this, and the meter didn't work. And back then, if needle leads existed, I didn't know they existed. So I took some 18-gauge thermostat wire. I said, let me try that. Too thick.
Really?
It wouldn't fit in. I'm trying to piggyback it into the back of the harness. So then I took some stranded wire, and I took one strand and stuck it in there. And that's what I did. I had, I had to do it, but that worked. But that's a little tricky because if those touch each other, it's easy to short. You just want to be careful. So hypodermic leads, needle leads, the real thin leads, whatever you want to call them, get them. They're available. They're not that expensive. And we're not the only manufacturer that uses these plugs. So you need a set of those leads in your toolkit.
One thing also regarding those needle leads is that when you store them, make sure you cap them.
Yeah.
When I was in the field, I will never forget looking for my set, and I reached into my bag without looking, and though that needle lead went under my nail.
You found
Oh,
it.
And
yeah.
I found
There
it
it is.
really good.
Yep,
Yes.
you want to cap those because you will find it, and I'm telling you, it's
gonna hurt.
Yeah. Depending on the type you get, it can be
It
sharp.
hurts, yeah. And going under the fingernail, it's like a torture.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
So we'll find those configurations, whether it's a 6 or a 7-pin connector. You're going to find those on all residential outdoor units, except for one, which we'll talk about, and then all indoor units. Doesn't matter if it's residential or commercial. The indoor unit fan motors are all that 6 or 7-pin connector with that same wiring configuration. So those are the 2 times you'll see that. We also do have one outdoor unit on the residential side that has a different fan
Is
configuration.
that the FX?
Yes.
The MUZ FX?
Yep. Or Sumo. So
Sumo,
it was Sumo. It's Sumo now. It used to be just our Hyperheat Plus.
Yes.
The FS unit. But that 1-to-1 configuration, that outdoor unit, is not a 7-pin connector fan motor.
Or
That actually
a 6.
works differently.
And it's still a hyperheat, just to be clear.
Yes. Yep. That's always going to be a Hyperheat. Now, the way that one works is there's 2 harnesses that go to that fan motor. One of the harnesses is actually just a balanced AC voltage. So we, just like we do with our compressor, we have an inverter. We're making a simulated 3-phase AC voltage that's driving the fan motor. And then we have that separate harness to give us our reference for rotational feedback.
So that first harness is U, V, and W.
Correct.
Not for the
Black, white, and
compressor.
red.
Not for the compressor, because now this is a 3-phase, same thing as a compressor, same
Yep.
type of motor.
Yep.
So UV and W balance voltage within a couple,
Yeah.
2 or 3 volts.
Plus
I
or
usually
minus
play it-
10%.
Yeah, I was gonna say I played
Yeah.
safe plus or minus 5 or 10%.
Yeah, I think that we say plus or minus 5. Some say 5, some say 10. But
Yeah.
I don't think you see them that far. If they're working
don't
well, I
think
think you see
they
them
are.
really close.
No. Yeah, they're usually pretty close. Now,
The second harness.
yeah. Well, let's finish the first harness.
Okay.
So the UV and W terminals, you would, if you wanted to test the fan motor, you would be checking those UV and W terminals for balance voltage.
Yeah.
You can also ohm out the windings.
Yes.
That's the other option.
Ah.
So you could just unplug the fan motor harness and ohm out the windings going to that motor, and we're looking for 30 to 46 ohms.
Yeah.
So low
Yeah.
resistance.
And I'm just going to take another sidebar here because we had Austin on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about techs calling in to tech support and giving us readings, and this happens occasionally where somebody will give us a reading and they just say 36 ohms. It's important to give the exact reading. If there's a little M or a little K next to that 36,
That makes a difference.
that's important. That's not an ohm or 2.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're going to tell somebody, if you're going to give somebody a reading, be specific. Say 36 ohms, say 36K, 36M, whatever it is,
Yeah.
be specific, And one question I know the tech support guys hate to get is when the tech support guy, the TSA will ask, what's the voltage reading? And the contractor, the tech will say, well, what should it be?
Yeah.
I say, no, it's not what should it be. It's what is it?
What is it actually?
And the voltage is good, the ohms are good. That's not a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't say, oh yeah, I got 208, 230 coming in. No, you don't. You
Yeah.
got one or the other. What is it? Is it 207? Is it 212? What is it? So,
That's what I used to do when I was in tech support, troubleshooting low voltage circuits. And I would ask technicians, okay, what is the voltage across R and C? And they would all say 24 volts. And I would say, really, it's never 24 volts.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like blood pressure. Blood pressure
Yeah.
is supposed to be 120 over 80.
Yeah.
It's never 120 over 80.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, and then and that's the first harness. So the second harness.
So the second harness is your rotational feedback. So that is a 5-pin connector. There is a wire in each pin, and you're checking pins 1 to 5, 2 to 5, and 3 to 5.
5 is common.
Yep. So think of it like 3 separate sections of that fan
Yep.
that are checking for that rotational feedback.
And the 1 to 5, that's your constant 5 volts DC for feedback reference.
No, 4 to 5. So 4 to 5 is what's feeding that.
Okay.
Yeah, and we actually just found this out because you won't find that in the manual.
No.
One of our gentlemen on the QA team, he actually reached out to Japan to figure out what that voltage would be, and they told us that's our feedback reference. So that constant 5 volts instead of 15 volts on our 7-pin connector fan motors, that constant feedback reference voltage is on 5 and 4. Now 1 and 5, 2 and 5, and 3 and 5 are the 0 to 5 volt
The
pulsing.
bouncing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, pulsing is right.
All right. So I'll fix your notes you gave me later.
Yeah, I did do it wrong. You're
Yeah,
right. That's
okay.
that is 100% my fault.
Okay, that's good.
You
That's
don't
good.
have to worry about it, Brent. I got your back.
The important thing here is it's not my fault.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
Okay.
So slightly different. I mean, you're testing the same things, but it's just 2 different harnesses. You still need to check your rotational feedback. Now, what would happen if you had issues with the rotational feedback is typically what you'll see is the fan will come on for about 10 seconds, and then it shuts off for a few minutes, comes on for 10 seconds, shuts off for a few minutes. And that can happen for a while. It's, a lot of our errors, things like that, these preliminary errors we run into, it's 3 times and it's a lockout.
Right.
Not the case with the fan motor. I've found it do it, 10,
Really?
15 times. And particularly on like a P series outdoor unit, it'll do it over and over again. And it eventually throws the U8 error code, but it takes some time. However, if you plug in the pack tool, it'll show it to you right away, which I always thought was very interesting. So it knows the error is
I
happening.
remember that, yeah.
But it takes some time to actually show up on the outdoor unit. So that's some of the behavior you might see. You might get a service call where somebody says, my system's not working. And when you get there, it's still in that, 10 seconds on, 3 minutes off. And you're going, why is the fan doing this? Why isn't the compressor coming on? That is your signal that you might have a rotational feedback issue and you want to check that circuit.
Yeah, I used to love the pack tool.
Yeah.
Until I got to the point where I couldn't read what it said on the thing anymore. It's way too small. I can't read it. So
You need a magnifying glass.
yeah,
and a
even that,
toolbox.
it's tough. I'm at the point now where I have to take a picture of everything and zoom in. You know.
Oh yeah. That works well though.
Yeah.
It does.
That's a good method to do. So yeah, that's the only thing on the residential side where you'll see a different fan motor configuration. So really, it's 99% that 6 or 7 pin connector, and then with the FX outdoor unit, you'll have that two harness connectors, one for balanced AC voltage, one for the rotational feedback.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of guys too. Hopefully it's not as much, but when I was in the classroom more, a lot of guys used to think it was so difficult. They're so afraid.
Mhm.
They come up to this unit, they don't know how to work on them. They haven't seen many of them, but it's not that difficult.
It's not.
It's the manual is there, and everything is difficult the first time you do it.
Yep.
Right, and it's knowing what to
Yeah.
do, and the only way you're going to know to do is by either reading or attending training.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I will say about those connectors in general, whether it's an indoor unit, residential or commercial, or an outdoor unit, if you check the fan motor and you do not have that 300 volts on pins 1 and 4 or 1 and 3, unless there's a broken wire, you have a bad control board,
Yes.
which makes it a really quick diagnosis. So let's say you have an indoor unit, it's throwing an error code, you're not sure what's going on. Go to that indoor unit and check the incoming voltage. You should have 230 volts. The next check I do is for that 300 volts DC to the fan motor. If you look at any of our wiring diagrams, the first stop after that incoming AC voltage is a diode stack that goes to the fan motor.
Yes.
So if that 300 volts DC is not on that connector, on the actual control board, I have a bad control board and I'm done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm done diagnosing. You can check further down if you'd like with resistance readings, but your control board is not doing what it's supposed to do immediately.
And a lot of times, it's easier to get to that connector than it is to get into C and DC
Yeah.
in some
Right.
cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
My only concern then would be what took out that board,
Yes, exactly.
right? And because I'd hate to replace a board and not do any further checks and
Yeah.
have that thing go up in smoke as well.
In fact, it could have been the fan motor that did it.
Yes.
So that would be where ohming out the windings, right?
Yeah.
We have in our service manual how to ohm out those windings as well, or those pins. That would be your next step.
Yeah.
Okay, if I don't have that 300 volts DC, I know I have a bad control board. What took it out? Let me ohm out the pins on that fan motor. So let's move to City Multi outdoor unit fan motors, because we covered all the indoor units,
Yeah.
but what about outdoor units?
So the outdoor fan motor on the City Multi is just one connector
Yep.
with
Still a
three wires.
Still a three-phase motor.
Yeah, balanced voltage going to the connector.
Yep. So just like we have with our compressor, just like we have with the FX outdoor unit, there's an inverter. It's converting the AC to DC, and then the DC is making the simulated 3-phase AC voltage to drive the fan motor. Now, in our commercial line, we actually feed that fan board just 300 volts DC. So
Yes.
it's already
Right.
been converted. We just have our stack of IGBTs that's making the simulated 3-phase AC voltage to drive that fan motor. So really, in that case, you're just checking for that balanced voltage. You have the ability to ohm out the windings of that fan motor. And in that case, we're looking for more than 1 mega ohm. Anything less than that would indicate we have a bad fan motor.
Yep.
And that's when you're looking for the little M.
Yes, the M.
If you don't see the
Capital
M,
M.
if you don't see the M, like 1 ohm, no bueno.
Yeah. Yep.
Not good.
Muy malo.
No muy malo. Yeah, no bueno.
Yeah, so that's a pretty simple one. There is some other test procedures that you can do. And the reason why you might want to is because let's say you don't have the balanced voltage going to your fan motor. You should probably figure out if your inverter is functioning. You might have, realistically, you will have an error code. The City Multi does throw an error code pretty quickly for outdoor unit fan motors. So you might get the error code for a fan motor error, and you want to isolate, is it actually my fan motor or is it the fan board?
Fan board.
And so we have this dip switch on our City Multi units, which is 7-2.
Yep.
And all that does is it tells the system, I'm doing a no load check on the fan motor.
Right.
So when it operates, it's looking for some amperage, right? It's looking for that amperage. If it doesn't see it through the CT sensor, it will immediately cut it off and throw an error.
So 7-2 ignores that.
Yeah, 7-2 ignores that CT sensor and says, just run it. And at that point, now you can check for that balance voltage off the pins. Oftentimes, even under no load, it will still throw the error code if
Yes.
the fan board has gone bad.
Yep.
So you'll still get an error code. And it's usually within about 5 seconds.
Right.
You'll get that fan board error. And that's how you know, okay, even with no load, it's still giving me that error code. This is definitely a board issue.
Yeah. And don't forget to put the 7-2 back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with all this being said, I am so excited about the new layout on the X-Gen
X-Gen.
coming
Yeah.
out. Oh my word, the field is gonna love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those unfamiliar, right, the N generation was that control box.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where the only outward facing board was your control board.
Yep.
Everything else was behind it. So if you wanted to test anything off of that fan board, you were taking the control board out of the way and then getting into that fan board. With the new X generation, everything's laid out neatly across the front, all one big panel, every board.
Is it the way it was?
Somewhat.
Is it the way it was with a K and the L?
Yes.
Exact same way.
Yep.
Sure
Those were
is.
nice because every board's accessible.
Yes. Yeah, it makes it way easier to swap out.
Yep.
And it also eliminated the need for the inverter cooling circuit.
Fan. Yep.
Correct.
So we used to have that inverter, small little evap coil on the
Yep.
back of the inverter. We don't need that anymore.
no, because the air going through the condenser, the
Air is
fan
going
is
through
gonna-
it.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
cool it off, and that throws off some heat.
It does.
Those boards throw off some serious heat.
Yeah, I've seen those things get up to 190 degrees,
Yep.
and the LEV starts to open up to cool it off, and
Yep.
yeah, so it will definitely build some heat. Now we don't have to worry about it so much. So those are the basic fan motors, right? Our commercial, our city multi-fan motors. They're going to be a UV&W, balanced voltage, ohm out. You should have more than a mega ohm.
Yep.
You've got your residential. It's either a 6 or 7 pin connector, or in the case of the FX, the 2 harness setup. But one other thing that I think we should talk about, because I've noticed it myself.
We're not done.
No, I could talk about fan motors all day.
Oh,
I
okay.
can too.
No, I thought we were done. Okay, we'll keep
no,
going.
no.
I just ran out of coffee. That's all.
So one other thing that I wanted to talk about is what is considered normal operation. And the reason I say that is I've observed our fans do some very odd things, and it has made me panic, even in our training center. And I go, oh no, what's going on? And thinking something bad's going to happen. And then I come to find out that that's actually normal. It's supposed to do that.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that goes through that.
Yeah.
It gets me all the time.
Yeah,
too.
we've all been there. Like, I'm like, what?
I've got a class in 5 minutes. What's going on?
It's
Yeah.
a panic.
Yeah. So just starting with the residential, most of our outdoor units on the residential side, they're going to come on and they're going to run when we have a call for heating or cooling. Now, the speed of the fan is going to depend on capacity and demand from the system, and what frequency the compressor is running at. You're trying to maintain a condensing temperature, but the smart multis on the residential do behave a little bit differently.
Slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is this new?
somewhat new with the A2L. This is
Yes.
definitely new.
Yep.
Even the 410A smart multis, they came out with a U2.
Yep.
And that second version, it does this thing, and this is the 410 equipment. When you first start it up, you'll see those fans pulse. The outdoor unit fans will pulse for a few
Both
minutes
at
on
the same
starting.
time.
Yeah. So they come on and they shut off. Come on, shut off, which is what I just described could indicate a rotational feedback
Right.
here.
Exactly.
But in this case, it's part of normal operation, and I think part of it is to just build some head pressure, get that condensing temperature up for that first few minutes, and then it goes into normal operation. Then it'll start rotating the fans quicker. And I've actually put my hand on the top back portion of the coil, and it gets warm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It gets warm.
That's pretty genius, though. Let
Yeah.
that pressure get up. The fan doesn't have to come on right away.
Right?
Right.
It's like a furnace. It's like a furnace. When the gas comes on or the oil comes on, you don't need the fan on right away.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty neat.
Yeah. So, like I said, the first time I saw it, definitely panicked. And actually, this was Steve was the one who told me it was normal. Because I said, what is this? And he's like, oh, yeah, that's the newer smart multis for the 410. That's what they do for a few minutes, and then they go back to normal. He's like, but it does get pretty hot. And so that is a normal function. So if you see it, don't panic.
Don't panic.
That's normal.
Yes.
One, what does the 454B do?
The 454B, so again, 2 fans. The one on the top will come on and run for the most part. And then as demand increases and pressure builds up on the outdoor coil, then that's when the second fan may come on. But the top fan by itself will run by itself most of the time.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is important because if I see two fans, I expect them both to run.
You would think.
So they're not both going to run necessarily. It's
Not
gonna
on
be
the A2L.
whatever it needs.
Yeah, it was another panic moment.
Yeah.
Where I turned it on and only the top fan ran for a few minutes. I'm like, what is going on? Waiting for the air to come up. It didn't come up. The second fan ended up coming on. They did color code those though on
They
the
did.
A2L, which
Yeah.
is kind of nice. So you don't
Now
get
the
them mixed
primary,
up.
the primary fan now it's a blue connector instead of both of them being white.
So in the past, it didn't matter which one you plugged in where.
It didn't.
Yeah,
but
now it
necessarily.
does.
But now it
Yeah.
does.
Yes.
So that's important to know too.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody just fell off a forklift.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's okay. OSHA's not here. We don't care.
So yeah, those were some of the idiosyncrasies that I noticed with some of the residential equipment. Indoor unit fan motors, they're gonna run. If the unit is powered on, it's gonna run. There may be instances where the indoor unit fan motor does not run.
Right.
Let's say it's an M series unit, for example, wall mount, floor mount, one-way cassette. If any of those are powered on but the fan isn't operating, you might want to check your jumpers.
Yes.
The indoor control board has jumpers that you could cut if you want to shut off the fan when it satisfies in heating and cooling. So there's options for that. Now, obviously, if you do that, one of the big things you'll want to do is put a wall controller on there and
Yes.
start sensing from the wall controller. But that could be potentially normal operation to not see that fan running at all times, even though that is the default setup. The only time I think it's defaulted to not have the fans run during thermal, when it satisfies in heating or cooling, is on the IntelliHeat. The IntelliHeat will drop the G call to the
Yes.
furnace when it
That's right.
satisfies. It's the only one.
Okay.
I was even curious about the SVZ, but I did check into it, and the SVZ does run at low speed when it satisfies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless you set it for thermal, like you said.
Right.
Set it for thermal off.
Yep. So those are some things you want to be aware of. If it's a P series or S series indoor unit, it's going to have a function settings 25 and 27.
Yes.
If it's true M series, wall mount, floor mount, one-way cassette, it's cut jumpers.
Cutting a jumper and
by
then
the way-
adding an external sensor.
You got it.
And by the way, on my P series unit, I had to make it go thermal off.
Yeah,
because
sure.
my wife complained.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, no, I didn't mind it. You know, I like it. We got a pretty good filter on it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't mind it at all. And then she says, "I don't like it." I said, "Does it make you cold?" No.
Yeah.
Can you hear it? No.
Yeah.
And then why don't? What's wrong with it? I just don't like it.
Yeah. Creature comforts.
And,
You know-
and what did you do about it?
You know what I did? I said, "This is the way it works.
No, you didn't.
This is the way it works. This is
No,
the way
you
it's
didn't.
staying." And then when she came home, I put it on thermal off. But I could do that. I believe. I believe. If I don't remember exactly, but I think I did it through the Comfort app.
Okay.
I'm not. I don't remember. I did it through the Comfort app. I think I did it through the Comfort app. Thermal off.
Yes, you can control some
Yeah.
function settings
Yeah,
through the
I did
Comfort
that.
app.
So that was easy. I didn't have to get off the couch. Otherwise, she'd still be waiting for me to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's so good. That's actually good that you mentioned that. It's worth mentioning that if you have a PAR 42, you said?
Yep.
Yeah. So with the PAR 42, you will also have to affect function setting 2
Yes.
to tell the system sense from the controller.
Yes.
By default, we always sense from return air. If you throw an MHK2, it'll switch to the controller
Yeah.
automatically. But with MA controllers, you have to go into mode 2 and change.
And I don't remember if I did that from the Comfort app as well too. But I want to say I did.
Yeah.
I just don't remember exactly because I was playing with both at first.
Yep.
No, it's a new toy. I gotta check
Play with
this
it.
out.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's about it for indoor units. The one thing I want to talk about is City Multi outdoor units and their outdoor unit fan motor logic, because there are different configurations or different things it will do based on what's going on. Starting with how it actually runs and fan speed. So it depends on the capacity required in the system. But like I talked about, that fan motor is working through the inverter to control a condensing temperature. So it's looking at outdoor ambient temperature, it's looking at pressure, and it's going to control to a condensing temperature. And we usually say it's, outdoor ambient plus about 18, no less than 100 typically is what, our fans are helping to control to. And it's all, that compressor's doing that, your fans are doing that. It's the one thing that's nice about having variable everything is that we can always adjust, ramp up and ramp down to make sure that we're getting that condensing temperature. And then during heating operation, it's controlling to a 32 degree saturation temp on the evap side or the suction side.
Indoor coil.
Yep. So that's the way the fans ramp up and down. That's how they decide how fast or slow they need to operate. Other than that, they will both fans will operate at all times. You won't see one run versus the other. If the outdoor unit compressor is off, the fans will turn off.
Yep. There's one exception. Though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with the exception of one thing.
Yep. You know what it is, Juan?
Would that be initial mode?
No.
No.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's
snow
a
sensor.
snow
Yeah,
sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting, because you want to blow the snow off of the fan. You don't want it to build up there.
And there's two settings for that. One is for the fan to run every so often, or one for it to run continuously.
Yep. Actually, I always thought it was really cool that it will tell you in maintenance tool if the fan is running backwards.
Huh.
And the only way that would
It
happen
will?
is through wind. But
Yeah.
there's a couple different fan icons on maintenance tool. One is fan, and then you'll also see like the fan RPM. So it shows the fan step. It shows the by percentage. It'll show the fan RPM, and then it'll also say the status. So it will show if the fan is running in normal mode or backward.
You just mentioned something very important: safety.
Yes.
Because what are the components of a generator?
The components of a generator?
Well,
Motor, a stator.
Yeah, you got a rotor and a stator.
Yeah.
Right.
And what are the components of a motor?
Motor and stator.
Rotor and stator. So if a unit is sitting there powered and the fan is running backwards because of the wind, is it a motor or is it a generator?
It's a generator.
It's a generator. So listen, I've spoken. It hasn't happened to me personally, but I've spoken to techs who were doing their checks, and it's pretty windy, and the motor's blowing,
Yeah.
and it's now a generator, and they got zapped.
Really?
They got
Wow.
zapped. So you got to be careful. If that thing spinning backwards is a generator now,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I didn't even think of that.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's called fan free. That's what it's called. Fan free on maintenance tool. If you look at the box, it says fan free. It'll tell you if it's normal, off, or backward. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when you read the manual.
Yes.
Or live on maintenance tool like
Yeah.
I used to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other thing that is kind of odd, which actually I had a student mention, and I didn't even think of it. It makes sense, but I didn't think of it when he mentioned it, which is during defrost. When we are in defrost mode, the fans are off.
Yeah, that makes sense. They should be.
Right. Because we don't really need to subcool at the outdoor unit when we're in
No.
defrost. In fact, it would actually slow down the defrost process.
Correct.
So we want to just send it right inside as, as hot as possible to really
Yep.
melt any ice that's accumulated on the coil. And if we try to run the fans, we're going to slow the process of melting that ice. And I for some reason, I didn't even think of it. And then he mentioned it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. So I checked in the manual, and sure enough, our fans don't run. We also have what's called liquid backless defrost, which if our outdoor ambient temperature is high enough, what it will actually do is it won't send any refrigerant to the indoor unit or to the branch controller. It manipulates the LEVs and solenoid valves and reversing valves to basically right off the high side go backwards through the outdoor unit coils and back to our accumulator.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we don't send any refrigerant to the indoor units. It all gets defrosted at the outdoor unit. Now, it's only effective when it's a little bit warmer.
Yep.
So when it's -5 degrees, it's going to go into a standard defrost. But the liquid backless is pretty cool. I've looked at the refrigerant flow.
It's a
for that.
monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's one other time when the unit will be running in normal operation and the outdoor fan will not come on. And that is on an R2 when it's in actual heat recovery mode. And I've never seen it in person, but I've seen a maintenance tool file that Joe Opie, who used to work with us, brought it to me, and he was so excited.
yeah.
It was the unit was in mixed modes, and half the capacity was in cooling and half the capacity was in heating.
Yeah.
And at that point, there's no need for the condenser fans. There's no need to blow air
Right.
over the condenser. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, because, it's how often does that happen? I mean, that's how it's designed, but it's theoretical.
Yeah.
But in actuality, how often are you going to get it? And there was a maintenance tool file that showed it. It was like for, I don't know how long it was. It was a while. This thing
Really?
was in perfect heat recovery mode.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Heat recovery is just, I don't know if you mentioned, it's just when your load is balanced inside.
Yes.
So exactly the same in
50-50.
heating and cooling load.
Yep.
We don't need to do any condensing or evaporating at
Exactly.
the outdoor
Yeah.
unit. So
That's
we
a yeah.
we bypass the outside the outdoor coil.
And that's a very well designed piece of equipment.
Yes.
Somebody
Yeah.
did it right
That's
because I've got the sun on this side of the building, not the north side. I've got the sun on this side of the building. I don't have sun here. This this half is calling, so half the capacity is in heating, half is in cooling. It's perfect.
yeah, I call it the unicorn.
Yes. But although I've seen it. So
Yeah.
it's not really, I've not seen Sasquatch riding a unicorn, but I've seen that. That's for the Mitsubishi guys will get that.
So the last thing I want to talk about with the outdoor fan motors is as it pertains to when we get into mixed modes. So on top of maintaining a condensing temperature, which is the overall logic, what also happens is, and we might have talked about it in previous podcasts, we have what we call patterns
Yes.
of our equipment, and we have the ability to segment portions of our coil.
outdoor coils.
And when we segment the coil, we're actually bypassing some hot gas into our branch controller.
Yes.
So we end up going to our branch controller as like a liquid gas mixture. And when we change pattern from standard cooling to a mixed mode situation where we've isolated a portion of the coil, it will change the fan speed.
Yes.
And as we reduce capacity or have more capacity in heating, the fan mode is going to respond to that to make sure, again, that we're maintaining the right condensing temperature in that case.
I mean, think about it. The capacity of the outdoor unit can change anywhere from 100 to down to 50 to 25% in some models.
Right.
So why would we want to move run those fans at 100%?
Yeah, that's true.
It's not necessary.
Yep.
I think we're gonna have to speed this up. That vacuum cleaner's getting closer.
That's actually the last note I had. So, if I'll look into it. If we haven't done a podcast on the heating and cooling patterns, it might be worth talking about.
That would be great to do.
Just what happens when a pattern starts. And,
Yes.
and all that stuff. So.
We might have. I think we did a while ago, but it would be worth it to do another one.
Yeah, even if we cover the X-Gen and what's been changed. 'Cause
Yeah,
they
that's
have
true.
they have additional
There you go.
solenoid
We
valves
should.
I like
in the
that.
outdoor unit. So
Yeah.
we'll just cover it again, I think.
I think one of the most popular episodes we've ever had was the maintenance tool when we had the Tiger team on.
Yeah,
I
love
think
those
it'd
guys.
be nice to get. Yeah, those guys are wicked smart. I think it'd be nice to get them back on
Wicked
again.
smart.
Although we shouldn't say this because then people are going to expect it.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know, I think we can get in
what if
Sean's
we don't
ear.
come through?
Too late. Watch the emails.
Yeah, we'll get in Sean's ear, and I'm sure he'll help us out.
Yep.
He's always
doubt.
good for that stuff.
Yeah. So did you have breakfast this morning, Bryn?
I actually haven't eaten breakfast yet.
Okay, so we're in Las Vegas, and the thing is, it's HVAC people. Breakfast is at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So for us three, we're all Eastern Zone
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So I always keep my body on Eastern time, my own time. So getting up at 3 a.m. for me here is okay because it's
Yeah.
6 a.m. to my body.
Right.
So I don't mind breakfast, but some of these guys are like, and then the training starts at 5:30. We're like, what?
Yeah.
But they have a nice little couple of omelet stations on, the little thing. You can put bacon on there and onions
Really?
and peppers. Omelets are really good, and they cook them up right there.
Yeah. I went with a protein shake this morning. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned you're going to be part of that panel on Wednesday morning.
Yes.
That meeting is at 5:00 in the morning.
Yes, it is.
Is it
So,
really?
yeah, 5:00. So I'm debating
That's-
whether I really should be in it
Yeah.
or not.
But that's 8:00 for me.
Right,
I'm
that's
okay
true.
with that.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. So
There's a few good restaurants. When we were here last year, there was a couple of restaurants that we went to. So for
The
dinner,
sushi
we'll find
place,
some
I like.
spots.
Yes.
I like the sushi place.
Oh, I gotta say something about that. I have never been for a raw fish individual,
Yeah.
but Bryn has been after me about trying sushi. And I did last night.
Yeah.
So man, it was good. I am definitely hooked on sushi now.
Yeah, but
So
I don't
cannot
mind it.
wait. I
But
cannot
it has
wait.
to be fresh. Juan,
Yes.
here's my advice to you.
Oh, absolutely.
If you put the fish in your fridge for 3-4 days, I wouldn't eat it raw.
no,
Yeah.
no.
You got to be careful. And even honestly, some restaurants. We were at a concert at the. I keep wanting to call it Fleet Center. What is it called now? TD Garden.
TD Garden, yeah.
They had a sushi restaurant underneath the stadium, and I took 1 or 2 bites of the sushi there, and I'm like, nah, I don't like. It just didn't taste right. Something was off about the texture, and I'm not one to play games with raw
And you know
seafood.
not to do it if you do that.
Where
Yeah,
were
so-
we? We had fish. I was with somebody. We had fish and chips, and they bring it out, and it just smells like fish, like bad fish. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's not
If
worth
you
the
can-
risk.
If you can smell it like that, you don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
We'll see you
Adios.
next one.
Take care.
Hasta la vista.